Welcome to Just the Stats NFL Top 10's for Monday. Well, we had two pretty fascinating games. What a contrast in the scoring, the conditions. Man, they were good games. Just so different, very different games to watch, and but it made for some fun football on Sunday. So we're going to talk about those two games. My name's Ernie Jennings. I'm your host of NFL Top 10's for Monday. And we'll look at the two games. We'll look at how the Patriots and the Seahawks won and how they're going. And now they are going to the Super Bowl. So we got 2 weeks to go. And we have a Super Bowl between the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. That should be a good game. Could be high scoring. Both have good defenses, but good offenses as well. All right, so let's take a look at this, and we'll take a look first at the AFC Championship game between the Patriots and the Broncos. Boy, the New England Patriots came into Denver, Empower Field at Mile High, and it was a very tight game the whole way. But Patriots pull it out 10-7, and what a crazy game! Denver looked right away with Stidham when they threw that 50-yard pass, and then scored their quick touchdown in the first quarter. It looked like, well, Denver might have something here, and then New England had a little bit of trouble getting started. They scored a touchdown in the second quarter, make it 7-7 at halftime. They get the field goal in the third quarter before the weather changes. And man, did that make a difference. So let's look at these top 10 things I have, and we'll look at top 10 keys I have about this game, and we'll look at the stats as we're going through it as well. And number one is the weather management and discipline. This game started off in a sunny kickoff. And in fact, I said last week that the weather wasn't supposed to be a factor. And it wasn't until about the last third of the third quarter. And then a blizzard basically kicked in during the game. And that fourth quarter was unbelievably different than the first half of the game. But the Patriots had the lead, and then they just hung on during this weather. And the weather made it almost impossible to do much of anything. And you see this when you're looking at the stats for the game. New England had a total of 206 yards. Denver had 181. Now, Denver had 102 yards passing, but 50 or so of those yards came on one play. So it was just a crazily bad game. And then the field goals. This made a big difference in this game. New England made one. That was the only field goal made in this game. There were 5 field goals attempted in this game. 1 was made. That was it. None of them were really short except for the one that was made. Some were in the 40s, but they still could not make the field goal. The swirling winds made it just so difficult to get a decent kickoff. It was crazy weather. And, both teams struggled. Denver struggled. And I think that New England played on the fact that this weather was making it almost impossible for either team to score. Number 2 key, that's Drake May's rushing attack. This was the pivotal point in this game. Passing-wise, Drake May wasn't impressive. Neither quarterback was. Drake May passing the ball was 10 completions on 21 attempts for 86 yards. That's 4 yards per attempt. He was sacked 5 times by the Denver Broncos. He had a quarterback rating of 58.8, pretty bad. But Jarrett Stidham actually was just slightly better. He had 17 completions on 31 attempts for 133 yards. That's only 4.3 yards an attempt. He had 1 touchdown and 1 interception, which was key as well. But he had 133 yards passing, but 52 of those came on 1 play, like I said, early in the first quarter. And he was sacked 3 times. He had a quarterback rating of 63, so pretty similar. Now, the key here is that New England did run the ball. much better than Denver was able to. And it was Drake May scrambling, his rushing attack, which was the key. I mean, Raymond Stevenson had 25 carries for 71 yards, so not even 3 yards a carry. But Drake May had 10 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. That was key in this game. Really impressive the way he played and kept the Patriots in this game. The number 3 key, capitalizing on Stidham's fumble. Man, in the second quarter, Patriots defense just put so much pressure on him, forced him to he tried to do a forward pass, and initially they called him for intentional grounding. But then on review, they realized that pass was backwards. Denver had recovered it, and they ended up, Patriots had recovered the fumble by Stidham. So it was not a forward pass at all. It was counted as a backward pass and therefore a fumble, which was recovered by the Patriots, and then they turned right around and scored on May's run-in on the touchdown. So that was a big key in this game because at the time, the Patriots weren't doing anything. This is the touchdown they got, and it's the only touchdown. These touchdowns came in the first half, and there was no more touchdowns the rest of the game. Number 4, the 4th and 1 goal line stand that the Patriots put up. Denver Broncos, this could have been a mistake, and probably was. Denver had a chance. They were already up 7-0. They had a chance to make an easy field goal. They were only at the 14-yard line of the Patriots, so it would have been a chip shot field goal. But it was 4th and 1. They decide to go for it, and they don't get it. They were stopped. So instead of being up 10-0, now at the time, obviously, unless somebody was tracking the weather and said, hey, there's a blizzard coming in here, there's no way to know. But 10-0 lead is much different than, obviously 7. It puts them up by 2 scores, and they decided not to do that. Same thing happened in the Jaguars game when they could have went up by a field goal, which ended up costing them the game, I think. One of the reasons. But getting back to this game, instead of going up 10-0 at least, they're still at 7-0, and then it wasn't much later, and it was in the second quarter, the Patriots tied the game up and ended up winning 10-7. Win the game 10-7. Number 5, second half defensive lockdown. This is partly the Patriots and partly the weather. So the first half, like I said, 7-7, pretty competitive. That's where most of the yards were coming in this game. The second half, the entire second half, Denver had 32 total yards on 18 plays. Only 18 plays in the second half, but only 32 yards. Not even 2 yards a play. They just couldn't move the ball anymore. And couldn't run it, couldn't throw it, nothing. And that really cemented the Patriots' victory and the style of play. They decided to be very conservative. Even though they only had a 3-point lead, they went into a very conservative mode, and it paid off, actually. Number 6, the 10-minute marathon drive. This is ended only in a field goal, but it went for 10 minutes. In the third quarter, they took 16 plays. They only went 64 yards, but it took them 16 plays to do it. They ate up almost 10 minutes of the clock in the third quarter. And they moved, during that 10-minute time, they went from decent weather into the beginning of the blizzard. They were able to kick a short field goal, only 23 yards. Gave them a 10-7 lead, and that was it. That was the last score in the game, and neither team could really do much with the weather, except the Patriots did do a little bit of enough. Number 7, employing the backup quarterback. Initially, Jason Stidham looked pretty decent. Jarrett Stidham, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the actor, but Jarrett Stidham he did all right. Bo Nix, who knows how this game would have been different. You might have seen Bo Nix doing some of the same things Drake May was doing as far as running the ball a little bit better than Jarrett Stidham did. But the Patriots kept the pressure on Stidham the entire game for the most part, and they forced him to several rush plays, rush decisions, and critical late in the game, the big interception that he shouldn't have thrown. His receiver was well covered and wasn't as open as the guy that intercepted it. So that was a big part of this game. And like I said, he started off pretty decent. He looked really good, passing well, moving around. But as the game went on, I don't know if it was the pressure, the weather, all of them combined, along with the Patriots defense, but they just held him in check. Like I said, he only had a quarterback rating of 63. He ran the ball 4 times for 23 yards himself, but that was it. Now, number 8, special teams survival. This was a game where both kickers missed 2 field goals. And like I said, the one that the Patriots kicker made, Andy Borregales, was only from 23 yards away. And it was before the weather had really changed to getting really bad. It was starting to. But that one field goal that he made in the third quarter was the difference between overtime and going to the Super Bowl. And the Patriots are going to the Super Bowl. Number 9. Christian Gonzalez seals the game pretty much with an interception. With just 2 minutes and, well, almost sealed it, but it was pretty close to doing that. With only 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game, Jarrett Stidham threw up a pass that was just a desperation pass down the field. It was intercepted by Christian Gonzalez at New England's 36-yard line. And that pretty much was almost the seal for the game. It almost sealed the game for the Patriots. And what did seal the game was number 10. On 3rd and 5, well, there's less than 2 minutes to go, and the Denver wouldn't have had much time left anyway. But on 3rd and 5, instead of running it again, because Denver had no timeout, so they could have just run the clock down even more, they did a bootleg. And quarterback bootleg. Instead of handing off as they had done the first 2 plays, and even on the previous plays, every down they were just handing the ball off. Instead of that, fake the handoff. May runs around the end, is able to outrun the defender, linebacker Jonah Ellis, just enough to make the first down, and that sealed the game. They just did kneel down a couple of times in the end of the game, and it's over, with New England Patriots winning this game 10-7. What a game. It was pretty wild to watch. They did a little recap of the weather from the start of the game to up to the point when they did the recap in about 2/3 of the way through the fourth quarter. And you just see the weather. I mean, clear field, sunny. And then in the fourth quarter, they got the guys out there with the blowers blowing the snow off the line so they can see the lines. You can't even see the line. What the markers are. It was an incredible difference in the game from start to finish. Really crazy game. Just looking at some of the stats, Courtland Sutton had the 1 touchdown pass for the Denver Broncos. And like I said, that was in the first quarter. And then May ran the ball in from about 6 yards out, I think, or something like that, for the second touchdown in this game. Yeah, 6 yards. That was it, besides the field goal. The game was, yardage-wise, was pretty close. New England had the ball for over 33 minutes to less than 27 for Denver, so they held the ball longer. Neither team could do much on 3rd down. New England had a 33% success rate on 3rd down. Denver had a 28%, so not much there. Another difference was on 4th down. New England went for it once and did make it, while Denver went for it once and did not make it. Another nice thing in this game was not a lot of interference, if you want to put it that way, by the referees. There was only 3 penalties in this game. 1 for 5 yards by New England and 2 for 5 yards by Denver. That's it. Really, the penalties were non-existent. And really, that was good because you just hate to see a game influenced too much by the penalty situation. All right, so that's a wrap of the AFC Championship. So congratulations to the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. Like the rest of the teams now, have to sit on the sideline and watch, unfortunately for them. All right, next game is the NFC Championship game, and this game was fun to watch as well. Very different. The Rams come into Seattle and try to get the upset, and they don't get it. They ended up losing this game in a very close game. 1-27 was the final in this game. Really, it was a fun game to watch, honestly, and just crazy some of the stuff that happened in this game as well. But nothing factored in because of the weather. It was just some of the plays that took place in this game. Some big mistakes on the Rams' part, for the most part. One huge mistake by player on Seattle, but he was able to get away with it. But we'll start with the top 10 keys for this one. And like I said, the mistake-free, though, was Sam Darnold. He was mistake-free in this game. He led the NFL in turnovers this year, total turnovers between interceptions and fumbles. But in this game, no turnovers. Played a very good game and really excellent game. He he held up to the pressure. I wasn't sure he could do it, but he did. Both these quarterbacks were excellent in this game, honestly. Their numbers are so close, it's crazy. So Sam Darnold, like I said, mistake-free, 25 completions on 36 attempts for 346 yards, 9.6 yards an attempt. You can see the difference between the Denver quarterbacks. These guys threw for, 9.6 for Sam Darnold per attempt, and Matthew Stafford was 10.7 per attempt, while in the Denver game, the two quarterbacks were averaging 4 yards an attempt. Quite a difference. But Sam Darnold also had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had a quarterback rating of 127.8. Really good. Now, Matthew Stafford was equally as good. 22 completions, so 3 fewer completions on 1 fewer attempt. 22 completions on 35 attempts for 374 yards, for 10.7 yards per attempt. He also had 3 touchdowns. No interceptions, was sacked only once. He had a quarterback rating of 127.6, so only 0.2 difference in these two. And honestly, I'm not quite clear on, I guess it was the fact that Sam Darnold had a slightly better completion percentage is the difference. I guess that's the difference in why of the two ratings. But both of them played really well. And again, the same thing about the ratings, where the two quarterbacks in the Denver Patriots game were averaging somewhere around in the 50s and low 60s. These two guys are well over 127. So number one, Sam Darnold was mistake-free, which was one of the keys to this game. And they tried to pressure him, but it did not work. And again, Jackson Smith-Njigba is number 2 in top key. He was unstoppable again. Just, he's so impressive. Puka Nacua is too. These two guys were crazy good. But Jackson Smith-Njigba, 10 catches for 153 yards, 1 touchdown. 9 of his catches were for first downs. Very impressive. Puka Nacua, 9 catches for 165 yards. He had a touchdown. 6 of his catches were for first downs as well. The one that was the key, now it doesn't mean that the Rams would have won, but with 10 seconds to go, and no timeouts, the Rams were trying to get down the field so that they had to score a touchdown. Puka Nacua catches a ball tries to get to the out of bounds, and he does with, it appears he does with 1 second to go, but they ruled that he was tackled in bounds. They reviewed it, and he was actually, his calf on his, he was just down as he was trying to get out of bounds. The defender tackled him. That would have put him in about the 30-something yard line, which would have been within easy range of trying to throw a Hail Mary, but they couldn't, they didn't have the chance, and they ended up losing the game. The Rams did 31-27, but it was a key moment in the game. But for Seattle, Jackson Smith-Njigba was just unstoppable. He had a one-handed grab as he was running out of bounds. One hand caught it, never used his other hand at all. It was quite an impressive catch. Number 3, the dark side of the red zone resilience. This is the Seahawks defense. They gave up 27 points, but it could have been more. They had the typical bend but don't break type of thing. So Matthew Stafford throws for 374 yards, but twice when they got down inside the 20, they had to settle for field goals. And that ended up costing them the game, honestly, the field goal situation. So as much as in this game, unlike the Denver game, you might have wanted to go for it, but they were not in really a position in a couple of those. The yards for first down on fourth down was a little steep, but the ability of the Seahawks to hold them to a field goal was key in the game. Number 4, Kenneth Walker III's early tone setting. Man, in the first half, he did look impressive, and the Rams were having a hard time handling him. He ended the game with 19 carries for 62 yards in this game. But in the first half, he did quite well. He ended up with a total of 111 yards from scrimmage. So, when you throw in that 4 catches for 49 yards, he had quite a good game. But including a 2-yard touchdown run, which was, really nice for him. So he had a good game, and they were able to hold him down in the second half a little bit, but early on, he was really impressive. He looked impressive last week, too, and he'll need to because Charbonnet is out. Number 5, Rashid Shaheed's vertical threat. Early in the game, he burned the Rams for a 51-yard reception, which led to the Rams' first touchdown. But it was quite an impressive play. So what it did, it forced the Rams to have to really pay attention to him, opens up the field then for Jackson Smith-Njigba to come underneath all over the place. And Cooper Kupp as well had 4 catches, but Shaheed only had the 1 catch in the game. But it did force the Rams to pull their safeties back a little bit, which opened up the rest of the field. They were afraid if they, came up too much, they'd try that same type of a shot. So really, it worked to the Seattle's advantage that they were able to get that 51-yard pass off early in the game. Number 6, 12-man advantage. It was unbelievably loud. They have a screen up there that shows the decibel reading, and it was constantly around 111, 112. It was so loud. It made it very difficult for the Rams to call plays. And in fact, they were called for 3 times for pre-snap penalties, including a neutral zone infraction. So it was really impressive how loud it is in that stadium. Anybody that, I don't know what the Jaguars are doing. They're building a new stadium, which they'll move into in a couple years. But you should be building a stadium that holds the sound in so that you can be so loud in the game. I mean, it was incredibly loud for the Rams to have to play under. Number 7, Cooper Kupp's revenge dagger. I don't know if you realize it, but Cooper Kupp played the year before for the Rams. And now he's with Seattle. So he's going back to the Super Bowl again, but with a different team. Cooper Kupp had 4 catches in this game and played well. 4 catches, only 36 yards, but one was a 13-yard touchdown pass. So good for him. He hasn't been the same player as he was for the Rams, but he's been a decent number 2 behind Jackson Smith and Jigba. So he's got such good hands. Both these wide receivers for Seattle have really good hands. But not only did Cooper Kupp have a 13-yard touchdown pass in the third quarter reception, he also had a critical 3rd and 4th down. He caught a pass on the Seahawks' final drive that kept him in the game, or not in the game, but kept him to another first down. And also, he was smart enough to get down, stay in bounds, and kept the clock running. Number 8, capitalizing on the special teams gaffe. This was the biggest, could have been the turning point in the game. This was a critical mistake by the Rams' Xavier Smith. He muffed a punt. He couldn't, I don't know what happened, but he was nowhere near it. But he did touch the ball. He was stumbling around trying to figure out where to catch it, and all he did was get his hand on it. Seattle recovers. This is like at the 13, it was at the 17-yard line. So and the Rams had done a good job. I think it was like a 3 and out, and Seattle had to punt. They punt, and they get the ball right back because of Xavier Smith muffing that punt. Oh, that was a critical mistake on his part. Right away, Sam Darnold connects with, of all people, Jake Bobo for a 17-yard touchdown pass. That's a 7-point swing. Seattle, the Rams are ready to pull this game and pull well ahead, and instead they're behind now, and they have to come back and they had to come from behind to win this game, and they couldn't do it. Number 9, Devin Witherspoon's Super Bowl stand. This was another critical play. The Rams moved all the way down the field, all the way down to Seattle's 6-yard line, but it's 4th and 4. And this is one of those things, I always feel like, don't go for the touchdown unless it's absolutely there. Play where you go because they're guarding for the touchdown. Go for the first down. They had a 2-yard range there where they could have gotten a first down, but they didn't do that. And with 4 minutes and 54 seconds remaining, the Rams go for it on 4th down from 4th and 4. They're down they needed to go for the touchdown, honestly, or at least for the first down, which is what I think they should have paid a little bit more attention to trying to do. But instead, they go for it on 4th down, and there's really nothing open. Seattle faked like they were going to put a lot of pressure on Stafford, but instead they backed out of it, only had a couple people rushing, and just had people all over covering every part of the field. Cornerback Devon Witherspoon deflects the pass. He jumped right in the route of the pass intended for Terrence Ferguson, tight end, and knocked the ball down. That's it. Play over, and Seattle gets the ball back. And that forces the Rams, they're still behind, that forces them now with less time to go to try to come back and win this game. Number 10, the last point here, the 4-minute drill execution. So like I said, the Rams turn the ball over, and now Seattle has the ball with 4 minutes and 54 seconds to go, but they're on their own 6-yard line. So they methodically moved the ball for 4 minutes, almost near perfect 4-minute drill. It took all the timeouts that the Rams had, ran the ball down, all the way down, and then they punted. And with a good punt, Stafford has to start from the 93, he has to go 93 yards. He's starting from the 7-yard line, has to go 93 yards with 25 seconds to go. They did not do it. They gave it a good shot, like I said, with appeared to be 1 second to go, they would have been around the 30-something yard line, and they could have went for that pass into the end zone. But no such luck on that, and that's the game. So it was an incredible game. Two very different games. They're fun to watch, the two games. Looking at a couple more stats before we call it a show here. Honestly, the Rams did a little bit better in the run game. Blake Corum, 9 carries for 55 yards. Kyron Williams, 10 carries for 39. Matthew Stafford, 2 carries for 16 yards. You don't see him run much. He shoved off a player to get it. He had to get a first down, and he got it on one play. It was pretty impressive. But they ran the ball 22 times for 114 yards to 26 times for the Seahawks for only 75 yards. So a little bit difference there. Both quarterbacks were impressive throwing the ball. Seattle had the ball for almost 32 minutes to 28 for the Rams. It was pretty close. Like I said, everything was close. The Rams actually gained them in yardage, 479 total net yards to 396 total net yards for Seattle. So as good as Seattle's defense is, the Rams were able to exploit it, but not enough to win. And obviously the Seattle could do the same against the Rams defense. They weren't able to really stop Seattle either. No interceptions in this game. There were more penalties in this game. 4 for 30 for the Rams, 6 for 50. So quite a few more penalties compared to the previous game. But a very fun game to watch. Seattle pulls this game out. All right, well, that's a wrap for that. Now, next couple of weeks, I'll still do a couple podcasts, hopefully three podcasts a week. And next week, I'll focus much more on the Super Bowl. This week, we're going to look at the top 10 rookies for Rookie of the Year. We'll take a look at that. And then we'll start looking at some other things. We'll see what comes up. But that'll be the next thing we'll do. Probably on Wednesday, will be Rookies of the Year. All right, appreciate you listening. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned. I know we got to wait 2 weeks before we have another football game. So that's a long period to wait with no NFL football, but that's what we got to do. So stay tuned. Listen to what's coming up in the next podcast. I appreciate those who subscribe. You'll see, if you watch it on YouTube at Just the Stats NFL, you'll see the charts that I have up of the top 10s. And you can also, of course, listen on whatever your favorite podcast app is, whether it comes through Apple or Spotify. You can listen to them there. So again, thanks for listening. And until next time, I'm out.